and welcome to the Meeting Your Soul podcast. This is Farah, your host, as always. Thank you for being here. It means the world to me. You are so special to me. I am so grateful for each and one of my listeners, anyone that tunes in. Thank you. I know you could have a variety of different places to be able to take in content, to be able to learn, and to be able to grow. And I take a lot of pride and gratitude in the fact that you show up here and that you commune with me and that you are seeking out knowledge and hopefully creating a community where we can grow together as a collective and we can continue to move forward in the direction that I think ultimately we all know deep down in our hearts is the way we need to be. So I appreciate you for listening, and the quick update on a few things that are coming up. I also am a coach, so I am a Dharma mental health coach. My background is in psychology, a lot of cognitive behavioral counseling, a lot of positive psychology, trauma-informed trainings, yoga behind bars, teaching trauma-informed yoga, meditation, all the spiritual work that I've personally been pursuing, but then also have had many amazing teachers that have guided me through my journey. And Maya Angelou says, once you become healed, go and heal others. And so that is truly why I created this podcast, is to help others heal through the trauma of life, big T, little t, and all of it in between. And so I appreciate you for being here, and hopefully you will get a few nuggets from our conversation today. If you want to set up a coaching call with me or even a free consultation, go to my website, coachingwithfarah.com, or you can also visit my Instagram, where I have some other resources and things that are available, and also more insight into my own personal journey at Ferrachino, FERRAHCHINO. All right. So as I've been doing the last couple weeks, life update. Has it been a fucking whirlwind, or is it just me? I'm telling you. I tell you what. I swear this last year has been like something else. My word for this year has been disciplined. In the last couple of years, it's been like freedom, celebration, joy. I swear to God, it really has. I went through a divorce a couple of years back, and so it's been like restarting my entire life, and also going through a separation with someone that I truly was in love with, was really painful. So after that, I was like, I need a little break. I need to have a little fun. I need to just like regroup. And I did exactly that. And it was exactly what it needed to be. But I would say then this past year, once everything settled, once everything got calm, I swear my usual life cycles, it's getting swirled up and thrown into the fucking air once again. So here we are. And then the last couple months, I just feel like it's been even more intense. I also have been dating more intently. And so I think that that's also been a part of it, because I'm just an emotional being. My heart is very like full and loving. And so like I tend to get drawn in very deeply into relationships, and also recognize that after being on a hiatus from dating and like really loving anyone for the last couple years, it's been a journey to be able to be okay with that and to even be interested in doing it. But then also there's going to be some wounding that gets triggered in the process, as it always does. And I think that my approach to it this time has been like, don't run away from it, run towards it, which has been also very challenging, as you might imagine, because then I'm getting a lot of, it's like someone ripping off the Band-Aid multiple times. It's like, honestly, it's like a huge wound that like stitches that's getting ripped open. I know that sounds really graphic, but that's like how it's felt. And I'm being really honest and real with myself about my part to play in it, how I'm growing, and as an individual, how I'm reliving patterns and how I'm breaking patterns. And that's what I want to talk more about, is really just recognizing your own patterning. And I think that's been the biggest point of reference for me the last couple of like months, like honestly, like almost year, is like, what are my patterns, especially when it comes to love? And how do I had a really great relationship with my ex, and then I turned towards the end, and I really was like, how did I create this? Like what part did I play in that conversation and in that relationship for us to end up where we were? And recognizing your patterning is something that I think is transformational in any area of your life. So if you notice something keeps coming up that's not working, what's the pattern around it? and I'm a psychology background. So I'm always noticing patterns, especially with behavioral patterns. It's like kind of an obsession of mine. And so I'm always watching individuals and what they're doing and if their actions align with what they say and all of the in between. And I'm kind of on this boat of trying to understand what my patterning is when it comes to a partnership. And that's what I want to kind of delve deeper into. And I'm going to talk about attachment styles because that's something that I've really come to terms with and kind of recognized a little bit more myself and how that's appeared and like what's the core wounding around it. Because honestly, our attachment styles stem from childhood and our parental figures and how they engaged with us. So a lot of trauma, big T, little t trauma, stems from that relationship with our parents and that parental figures within our lives and our relationships with them, and how that can drastically shift how we're showing up in our love interactions with the people around us, and how easy it is to recreate the same patterns that we witness or maybe experience firsthand. But then, if you recognize it, is their ability to change it and to shift it and to grow from it, right? And so that's what I'm trying to do. Generational trauma, just really trying to figure out how to change it and how to improve on it. And yeah, so let's go ahead and begin. So I started dating again, and I actually found people that so first of all, I had been on a break, a hiatus, if you will, and from sexual interactions, from all of it. And I decided, unless someone is a full body yes, that I feel really drawn to them, that I just feel like my heart, spirit, all of it in between, if it's really drawing me towards them, then I will go for it. But if not, then like I think I'm going to hold off and I'm just going to trust myself to know the difference between those two things. And that's been kind of hard because then I've been alone for a long time, but I'm not gonna lie, I've been riding the high of like amazing friendships, a great life. Like there were so many other things were going so well in my life that I honestly wasn't missing it. And I'd say I wasn't really missing it until like the end of last year. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to open myself up to partnership. I prayed, as I do with everything. I prayed to God and I asked for guidance and direction on where I should go. And really tried to listen to myself and my intuition and where it was pulling me. And so I pursued one gentleman. We like pursued. Actually, I did very much intently pursue him, and recognized a core wound that came up for me. And I did post a little bit on my Instagram. I've talked a little about it in person. I talked about heartbreak. If you want to check out one of my previous episodes, it's all about heartbreak. And so it's this opportunity for me to recognize how that was coming back up in my life, and especially again core wounding of like not feeling like I was chosen, or having someone that I felt like wasn't 100% committed, or they felt inconsistent, and like what that created within me, and what was my reaction to that. And my reaction to that has been to control. It's like to like put down the claws and be like, no, you're going to do what I say. This is how this is going to go, because this makes me feel more at ease, because then I'm the one that's dictating how it all shakes out. But as we all know, no relationship's actually like that. And it's really unhealthy. And it's actually then can create codependency and also just, again, unhealthy patterning. So an attachment within a relationship. And so I've kind of butted up against that. I think then it got real toxic there for a second with that other person. Things got a little wonky. I also like just wasn't really aware of how I was responding. I kind of just got lost in it. And I let it really throw me off my rocker, which I haven't done in a while. And I think I just was in the point where I was letting the emotional pulls of it just like run with me. And which is sad because I think I'd worked so hard to find my peace that I lost it for a period of time. And so then I had to kind of go back. I had to look at my wounds. I had to regroup. I had to like take some time away. I was still dating a few different guys and like here and there. But then during that time I had to move. A very close friend of mine found out they had cancer. I had to regroup my finances, my living situation. I had to really reevaluate where I was headed, where I was going. I had been kind of just like on autopilot a lot with my career, that I also had to reevaluate, did I really love what I was doing? What am I doing? is this even the direction that I want to be headed in? So it was like one of those like full 360-degree like reevaluations of my life, and like what's working and what's not working. And we were talking about the pie of life in the most recent episode, and that was an exercise that I had to do in order for me to be able to gain some clarity, because I think it's really easy to just keep going, and to not pay attention to how things really make you feel. But that's a very much important part of our job, and I think the work that we do as spiritual individuals or just people in general is to just like continuously check in with yourself and see what's working and what's not, and being able to make really concrete changes once we recognize that things are not headed in a positive direction. And so, all of that kind of changed. I had to make a lot of life, kind of revisions, if you will, during that time. And a lot of them felt really heavy. A lot of them didn't feel like things I wanted to do, but knew I had to do. And so I got to the point to where I, was like, okay, what am I doing here, and where do I want to be? And so, and then I just kind of, but I saw this quote recently and I think it's so spot on, but it's like, if you don't know where you're going, if you are feeling like you don't have the right direction in life, I'm just going to pull this up because I literally just posted this, so I know I have it here. Uncommon advice: if you don't know what to pursue in life right now, pursue yourself. Pursue becoming the healthiest, happiest, most healed, most present, most confident version of you. Then the right path will reveal itself. And I would say that's been the journey I've been on the last couple years. How can I become the most confident, healthiest, most present, most in tuned, and most in love with myself as I possibly can be? Because I lost that, extremely was lost right before then, and like right before the divorce. And so that was what I pursued. Opportunities in order to help you progress. And so we are coming to a crossroads right now, I think, with a lot of different things within our life, or at least within my own life, where I'm having to either recognize, am I going to keep living life as I've done? Am I going to keep handling things the way I've done them in the past? Or am I going to transcend? Am I going to get myself into that next level? Am I going to truly bloom and to spread my wings and come out of that cocoon as the next version of me? And that's what I'm up against right now. But I tell you what, I've done that in so many different areas of my life. I've done that with my career multiple times. I've done that within my life, within my relationships, within just how I viewed myself. Like, to say that I didn't have extremely low self-esteem for the majority of my life would be a lie. And I have. And even just liking myself and loving myself and feeling confident in who I am and how I show up, and being able to walk into a room with this magnetism that I possess at this point in my life has taken work. This did not happen overnight, and I wasn't always like this. I think people see me, they're like, oh, she's always been this vibrant, like centered, like loving, like little goddess. And I'm like, oh honey, yeah, well, we're all goddesses and gods within, but like I had to take off so many layering, so many preconceived notions about myself, so much programming and patterning that has like really helped dimmed me, like put a million lampshades over my heart, over my light, over who I truly am. And that's still coming to the like into fruition of what that really is. And I think I'm becoming more and more clear about what that is and how I'm showing up, but it's been an evolution to say the least. So within relationships over the last 6 months or so, I've run up against one, I have a little bit of an temper issue. Like, I am sassy as fuck. I tell you what, you guys think I'm a little sweet pea, and I am very sweet. I think I am. I used to always joke around and say fuck around and find out, but I've found out about myself is they don't even really have to fuck around, and they might find out. That's probably not funny for them. But nonetheless, I recognize I tend to catastrophize, and I will make up a story about what I think is happening. I put some assumptions in there, and then I run with them, like full sprint ahead. And that's not always fair or even true, or and then I end up treating someone how okay, I want to ask people out there, how many times have you like had a certain idea about what was going on within a situation? You haven't really truly talked to them, or like you don't really know exactly what's going on, but you like gather some data, and you're like, boom, bingo, this is what's going on. They're fucking around and they're about to fucking find out. I'm guilty of this myself. And for those of you that have been in partnership with me, I don't even do this to my friends. Funny enough, I don't do this to my friends. I don't do this to my family members. I don't do this to anyone other than men I'm with. And I think it's because I've been fucked over so many times in life that I used to always give this benefit of the doubt. I always had this open mind. I was like, oh no, they would never do that. And then they were every fucking time. So I think now I'm just like, assume the worst, assume the worst. But like, how is that really serving me? How is that benefiting me or my relationships? It's not. It is not. It's doing quite the opposite. So that is one of the lessons I have learned. No, don't make assumptions. And it is one of the four agreements. I think so much of life is also following the four agreements within your relationships. And I would say one of them, don't make assumptions. Assumption like that single-handedly will change every area of your life. And I do this really easily within work. Like I always am very good about asking clarifying questions or getting to the root of it or saying like, why do you think that that's the case? And like I try not to fill in the gaps because I think in every type of communication with people, individuals, and with others, there's always it's easy to make fill in what you think the case is, but I have always and repeatedly seen the importance of finding out truly what the other person is feeling and thinking and to gain deeper insight of what's going on so that you can then move forward fully informed on both ends. And more often than not, I think that it really does solidify relationships with people when you're willing to ask questions and also shows them that you're interested and that you're curious and you want to know who they are more and also how they think more and also like you want to be able to best approach the situation from a holistic and a wider viewpoint. So I'm grateful for that lesson and also the four agreements to help remind me of that and also to help me recognize when I'm doing that. And I fell into I fell into the hole of doing that recently quite a bit. And so I've been really intentional about recognizing it, asking questions, and trying to move forward from that space from a place of curiosity instead of judgment. Seek to understand instead of seek to respond. And that's another big one within relationships. Am I seeking to truly hear someone out, or am I just listening long enough so I can get what I want to say out loud? And that's just like really not, again, how are you building relationships? How are you building and forging bonds if they're not built on a sense of mutual understanding and respect? And that's first and foremost what I think is critical within any type of partnership, any type of relationship, friendship, all of the above. So, first lesson that I've learned, don't make assumptions. Two is be willing to ask questions from a place of curiosity instead of judgment. If you're assuming what's going to happen, or you're already upset and you're filling in the blanks, or you're like, this motherfucker is fucking like, I am gonna get to the bottom of this, and then they are gonna know what like they're not gonna know him. Okay, going into any situation like that probably isn't gonna work out. And and this is me saying this from experience of doing these things and then backfiring. Okay, this is why I'm talking about this. Lessons learned. This is the lessons I am learning. So this is not me on a soapbox saying that I'm perfect and I've never done any things. I've done all of them, all of these things. All of them. I've done them and this is what I've learned from them. So I am hoping to share them with you, but recognize when you're doing it, notice it, be kind to yourself, show yourself compassion as you figure this out. You're not always going to be perfect. And again, our programming, our beliefs, our attachment styles, that's what I have to go into next. Know what your attachment style is. Your attachment style was actually established within your parental unit. So however you engage with your parents and your upbringing, it plays a huge part on how you respond to relationships and love. And there is four different relationship styles. There's the healthy, secure relationship style. There's the avoidant relationship style or attachment style. There is the anxious attachment style. And then there's the disorganized attachment style, which is usually the one that stems from pretty extreme trauma and your upbringing. And I think that there is, I'm just going to make sure, yeah, disorganized attachment. I just want to make sure I was saying that one correctly. But I've been recently looking more into this because I recognize that that's a huge piece of it. And also, like, core wounding, like, it all stems from your parents. Like, especially, and a lot of it comes, and there's other things that, like, are obviously going to influence you in that way. But really understanding how you're showing up within partnership more likely than not is going to have a huge part to play is within your upbringing and your family unit, your familiar unit, because that's where you first experienced love. And so wherever you first experienced love and how that came up for you is probably going to have a huge part to play in how you show up for others and what you view as love and what you value as love. And I've been so mindful of this with my daughter because I recognize that, loving her unconditionally and creating healthy attachment style for her is something that is so important to me. And that's because I recognize the influence and also how long and how hard it is to unlearn as we get older. But a lot of people don't even know this about themselves, so that's why I wanted to go into attachment styles so that you can have a deeper understanding of what this means for you. So secure attachment style is empathetic and able to set appropriate boundaries. People with secure attachment styles tend to feel safe, stable, and more satisfied in their close relationships. Where they don't feel being on their own, they usually thrive in close, meaningful relationships. So characteristics of a secure attachment style and relationship. You appreciate your own self-worth and you're willing and are able to see yourself in an intimate relationship. You're comfortable expressing your feelings, hopes, and needs. You find satisfaction in being with others, openly seek support and comfort from your partner, but don't get overly anxious when the two of you are apart. You're similarly happy for your partner and rely on for your support. You're able to maintain your emotional balance and seek healthy ways to manage conflict in close relationships. When faced with disappointment, setbacks, and misfortune in your relationship, as well as parts of your life, you're resilient enough to bounce back. Don't we all wish that we were that way? And if you are, more power to you. About 50% of the population has a secure attachment style, so there's a large portion of us that do have it. But then there is, I think, again, patterning can come up in different ways, so just be mindful of it. These are more overarching concepts that I wanted to bring light to. If you want to look more into what your attachment style is, please do. And then again, if you're creating the same type of relationship over and over, there's probably a reason why, and it stems from childhood. So that's why I wanted to talk about this. So then the next attachment style is anxious attachment style. So that's when someone's anxious or ambivalent. Is also a word from anxious, preoccupied, or and they tend to be overly needy. As the labels suggest, people with this attachment style are often anxious and uncertain, lacking in self-esteem. They crave emotional intimacy but worry that others won't want to be with them. So you want to be in a relationship and crave feelings of closeness and intimacy with a significant other, but you struggle to feel that way that you can trust or fully rely on your partner. You may find it difficult to observe boundaries, viewing space between you as a threat, something that can provoke panic, anger, or fear that your partner no longer wants you. Being in an intimate relationship tends to take over your life and you become overly fixated on one person. You feel anxious or jealous when you're away from your partner, may use guilt, controlling behaviors, or other manipulative techniques to keep them close. You need constant reassurance and lots of attention from your partner. Others may criticize you for being too needy or clingy. So this one usually stems from a parental caregiver or primary caregiver that was inconsistent in their parenting style, and they may not have been very responsive or engaged within your needs, or even unavailable and distracted as you were growing up. Your first relationship never met your needs, and then that also then reflects in later partnerships or relationships. And it makes sense, if you think about it in that way. And again, nothing's wrong with anyone with any of these attachment styles, and it's all things to be able to recognize and to be able to prove upon. But I do think being aware of them, especially if you're falling into these gaps with different partners, that there's a reason why. And I know for myself, so I'm an avoidant and dismissive attachment style through and through. I know this about myself. I think I have healthy attachment in some areas, but then other areas I'm not. And this is, I would say, within partnership. So I'm avoidant and dismissive, insecure attachment style as the opposite of those that are anxious and preoccupied. Instead of craving intimacy, they're so weary of closeness that they try to avoid emotional connection to others. They rather not rely on others or have others rely on them. Oh, it's so true. I hate relying on people. And I have a really, 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 really hard time relying on people for things. And I just feel like they're going to disappoint me and they're not going to show up. So then why even do it? And I just rather do it on my own. So they find it difficult to tolerate emotional intimacy. It tend to keep people at arm's length. You value your independence and freedom to the point where you can feel uncomfortable, even stifled by intimacy and closeness to a romantic relationship. You're an independent person, content to care for yourself, and you don't feel the need for others. This isn't funny, but it's only because it's so true. The more someone tries to get close to you, the needier your partner becomes, and the more you withdraw from them. You're uncomfortable with your emotions, and partners can often accuse you of being distant and closed off and rigid and intolerant. You're prone to minimize or disregard your partner's feelings, keep secrets from them, engage in affairs, and even end a relationship in order to gain a sense of freedom. You may prefer fleeting, casual relationships to long-term intimate ones, and you seek out partners who are equally independent or emotionally distant. While you think that you may not need close relationships or intimacy, the truth is we all do. We are hardwired for connection, and deep down, someone with the avoidant, dismissive attachment style wants a close, meaningful relationship if they can overcome their deep-seated fears of intimacy. Womp, womp, womp. That's what I've been up against, people. This is what I've been facing. So as I'm talking about these things that I'm learning about myself, this is why I'm talking about this attachment styles, because this is what all the things I've been overcoming. I've literally, as I was telling you guys before, I've literally withdrawn. I've literally closed my heart off and have been avoiding all types of intimacy with people other than people that I truly trust or people that I can keep at somewhat arm's length distance apart, especially romantically. What I've been really overcoming and then how I've been healing this portion of me over the last few years has been with friendships. So I've been able to like spend more quality time with my friendships, be more vulnerable, be more like open up about what my hardships, what's going on, being able to let people see all of me, being able to have really open dialogue about what I'm struggling with, and to be able to reach out to others while I'm doing so. To even call someone when I'm crying is so hard for me. I would not do it. I wouldn't even tell people I would cry. I would never even tell them that they bothered me. That's like how emotionally closed off I was to people for a period of time. And I would say I had my partner, my ex-husband, and I were so close. He was such my best friend. He was the person I told everything to, that was like the only person I relied on. So when that started to go south, I really didn't know what to do. And so then I just fully withdrew. And again, it's something I'm aware of. I went through therapy. I went through a lot of things to help address this, but it's still something that I'm working on. And I think then when I started dating again, I went through it all over again to be able to recognize what I hadn't healed so far and the ways that I needed to still grow. And it's still been a journey. I would say recently it's been coming up again. I've always been kind of emotionally distant. And so I think I've been requested to be a little bit more present and a little more vulnerable, which has been really difficult for me. And I think then I leaned so much into this vulnerable state that it's almost like I'm super passive, which is also not healthy and also not me. And so finding that balance between the two of them and truly to find a more healthy and secure attachment style is what I've been on the pursuit of. And I know in my heart that that's what I'm willing and able to create within my life. Again, but it's becoming aware of it and it's becoming willing and able to change it and to grow from it. And so I just wanted to touch on that. And then I want to finish up with this last one because the disorganized or disoriented attachment style is also the fearful avoidant attachment style. Stems from intense fear, often a result of childhood trauma, neglect, or abuse. Adults with this style of insecure attachment style tend to feel like they don't deserve closeness in relationships. So you probably find intimate relationships confusing and unsettling, often swinging you to emotional extremes of love and hate for the partner. You may be insensitive towards your partner, selfish, controlling, and untrusting, which can lead to explosive or even abusive behaviors. You can be just as hard on yourself as you are on others. You exhibit antisocial or negative behavioral patterns, alcohol abuse or drug abuse, prone to aggression or violence. Others may despair at your refusal to take responsibility for your actions. While you crave the security and safety of a meaningful, intimate relationship, you also feel unworthy of love and terrified to get hurt again. Your childhood has been shaped by abuse and trauma. So there's usually unresolved trauma that has come up and hence fear associated with this attachment style, and also can add a parent that was probably, fear, that was a source of fear and comfort for you as a child, triggering the confused and disoriented feelings that you have now. You've been in these points where you've had someone that treated you very poorly, but then also loved you. So then that's how you assume that you should be treated by someone else. So one of the ways to be able to help work around or heal your attachment style is 4 tips that have come up that I've researched and that I've also put into practice. I think first, being able to self-manage when these things come up, recognize when you are feeling triggered, recognize when things are not going a little sideways, and be honest with yourself about it, and to be able to give yourself the grace and time to be able to regroup, to be able to sit, to be able to breathe, to be able to move through that and really understand where these emotions are coming from. Give yourself the space to be able to process them and move through them. And I think that comes with increased self-awareness, giving yourself the opportunity to be able to maybe meditate, to be able to take time for yourself, to be able to say, why am I feeling this way? Journal about it, think about it. That's come up for me multiple times within the last couple of months. It's like, why am I responding this way? Why am I reacting this way? Why am I doing this? Like, the more self-aware you are, the better it is for everyone involved. But that's truly where systemic change stems from. So change can only stem from a place that you actually even know what you're doing, because if you're unaware of it, how are you going to change it? And then I think social awareness too, being able to read the room, to be able to read others. How are you making other people feel? How are your actions affecting them? If they're hurting others, there's, even if you're like, well, it's not my fault, like they're doing that to themselves. No, there's always two parts to play within every scenario. And that's not to say that some people might not manipulate you or might be doing things in a vindictive manner. Trust me, I just posted this thing and it's like, and it was like, what do you do when someone provokes you? And they're like, they get hands and they're about to get fucked up. And then and the higher self is like, no. And that's the shadow work that you need to address. So as much as we want to say, oh, it's like their fault or they're doing this, so they deserve this. No, you control how you respond to situations. You control how you react to your environment and what you're doing. So like, if you feel like you're doing something that can be harmful to someone else, recognize and be socially aware and empathetic enough to know maybe they're doing this because they're unaware of how they're doing this. Can I teach them something new by responding to them differently? Can I be more loving? Can I be more inclusive? Can I be more heartfelt in how I approach them with more compassion because they're not recognizing what they're doing? And I think that it's really easy to lean in either direction. And I'm truly trying to like be aware of that within myself, because I'm like, as I mentioned before, fuck around, find out. And so it's like, also, but then what is that really serving? And am I really healing others? And am I being the peace pilgrim and the peaceful person that I want to promote within this world? And also how I want to feel internally if I'm responding to people. I think boundaries are key. Never give up your boundaries. Be like, if something feels out of whack or is not in alignment with how you want to be treated, then state that. Be open about that. Talk about that. Let them know that that's not okay. But then also do so from, instead of a vindictive place or from an aggressive place, be from a calm and centered space to be able to say, hey, this didn't make me feel good. I didn't like that. And now I want to talk about it. So the last one is also, can you handle, and that goes back to like communication skills. How can you communicate with others from a place of compassion and from a place of self-awareness to say like, okay, this triggered me or this came up for me, so how am I going to respond to the situation? This hurt me in some way, or this makes me feel uncomfortable. How can I respond? From a more compassionate and understanding place. Again, are we listening? Are we communicating as understanding as the focal point, or reactionary to what's going on around us, or maybe even how we've responded in the past too? That's easily done. So a lot of, again, I'm telling you guys, I'm saying all this because I've been in the fucking throes of this. I've been experiencing this firsthand while also in an electric relationship, which is really amazing and fantastic in so many ways, but also I am feeling continuously triggered by different things, and I'm recognizing a lot of things that I hadn't healed through, which I wasn't even aware of. So like, once you recognize this within yourself, I think that then you have a duty to be able to make a difference and to be able to evolve from that point forward. So those are my lessons. That's what I've been working on personally. I love you. I see you, and I hope that you can take some of these nuggets to help yourself grow as well. If you have any questions or want to talk about this more, reach out to me at Farachino on Instagram or on Pinterest, or check out my website, coachingwithfarah.com, and we can dive deeper into all of it and more. Love you.